Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Star Watch, which is a weekly astrological transit report for Wednesday, January 4th. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For those of you who are new, my name is Jane. Thank you all so much for being here. Happy New Year as well. I hope you are enjoying the first few days of this new 2023, this new calendar year. So let's go ahead and delve right in here. Now, this week, we don't have any massively notable transits going on, with the exception of the full moon in Cancer, which is happening on January 6th. We also have Mars stationing direct. He's not officially stationing direct until the 12th, but he is like really slowing down at this point, preparing to turn around. We also have Mercury retrograde involved with this full moon. As we can see, we have the Sun and Mercury very close together, less than 1 degree apart, in this opposition with the moon here. And we also have Uranus involved with this full moon as well. Now, this particular full moon, I'm really loving it. And I went really in depth in this full moon. I did a whole segment for my soul seekers, but I want to just talk a little bit about what I talked about with them. And I've mentioned it to you guys in the January readings as well. Okay. This full moon is very special because it's the first full moon that we have had since 6 months ago that is not conjunct a massive planet or another planet, okay? Because back in July, which was Cancer season, we had the big full moon, which was conjunct Pluto. Then it was conjunct Saturn in Leo season, and then it was conjunct Neptune in Virgo season, and then Chiron, and then we had the big eclipse conjunct Uranus, and then we had the big full moon conjunct Mars. And so like this really is the first time where this full moon can shine so bright and so freely. And I just love the fact that she's at home, right? She's in her rulership. So she's more powerful than she normally is here. And I feel like there is a quality of freedom because with this sextile with Uranus here, there is this element of being set free. And everything that you've been working toward over the past 6 months is going to start something's going to really start happening with that. So if you've, kind of developed a new relationship with someone, or if you've kind of started a new business, or if you started looking for a new home, or whatever the case may be, this is really a time where you can really get your hooks in and actually make a great strides. Not to mention that because Uranus right here, Mars and Mercury are all going to be moving direct by the end of January, which means every planet is moving direct. This is what I'm calling the month of things turning around. All right. And this moon is really the beginning of that. So it doesn't mean that everything's going to happen right away on January 6th. All right. That's not really how full moons work. Full moons tend to kind of come and go. They happen all the time. Once a month we get one, but there's also a quality of just like a readiness, just a readiness for things to change. And this is, coinciding with the fact that we are also preparing for the Pluto coming into Aquarius as well. So like we're kind of staring down the barrel of a whole new life right now. And it's requiring us to do a lot of new things, which is what the past 6 months have really prepared us to do. And so here she is finding freedom and liberation with this Uranian influence. She's also receiving a great deal of information with Mercury's involvement here. And I say she's receiving information in terms of what her next steps are. And a lot of our lives and a lot of our astrological, the effects of the astrology are timed with the moon, because the moon is always fluctuating and always activating all the different planets. And so, there's a lot of information that could be delivered to you at this point in time. And that probably has a lot to do with release, for sure. It's a full moon. And it's in Cancer, which is all about healing. And we have Uranian influence, which is all about freedom. There's also a weak trine happening. So later on On January 7th, the moon is going to be coming into this trine with Neptune, which is all about surrender and sacrifice. So this really is similar to how I described the full moon back in July as a point of no return. This is really solidifying that point of no return. We're not going back to our weakened, wounded state. We're not going back into our fears. We're not going back into our pain. And we're not allowing our wounding to really dictate the success or lack of success that we're going to have in this life. I think there's a lot of empowerment that happens with this moon. And the fact that Mars is kind of, he's kind of in that hesitation period or that kind of inertia period that takes place when kind of like when you're swinging on a swing set, right? And you kind of go up and there's that like pause at the top before you boom, swing down, and then there's a slow down at the top. It's kind of where he is with his retrograde, right? He's kind of at the very last part of his retrograde. So he's moving very, very, very slow. So there's kind of like this little anti-gravity feeling, where you're just kind of floating, being suspended in space. And when he starts moving direct on the 12th and starts to speed up over the course of the rest of January, we're going to feel that like, okay, boom, things are really starting to really happen for us. And again, this moon may pass you by. It's not like you're going to feel all this stuff. I mean, there may be emotion. It is a full moon in Cancer after all. There may be emotion here, but that emotion is meant to be a purge or a true act of kind of making it sacred and sacrificing it and releasing it and getting it out of your physical body, right? We need to remember that in traditional astrology, the moon is really the planet that represents our physical bodies. And how our physical body, like, right, with the mother, right, being given our physical body via the mother, right, there's kind of that connection there. So we need to get it out of our physical body. So whether you need to cry it out, whether you need to dance it out or go to the gym or scream, or you need to write or whatever it is, but it needs to get out of you, because it needs to get out of you because you have ambitions, because you have aspirations, because you have places you need to go and places you want to be. And if these things have been holding you back, like if you've had some kind of resentment build up against your mom or something, for as an example, right? It's time for you to like let it go once and for all. And I'm not saying that it's just as easy as all that. I think we all know that it's not as easy as just saying, okay, I'm going to let it go. Bye. And now you just move on. But I do think getting yourself close, that's why I like dancing and singing or screaming or a lot of sweaty movements, right? Just like shake it loose kind of thing. I think that would be really good for you, just to shake it loose, so that when Mars starts moving direct in the next week or so, you can actually take advantage of that. I think the more and more we hold on to, the more and more we cling to in our lives, the less and less productive we become, and the less successful we become, and the less open and the less available we become. And it kind of has this negative snowball effect, right? The more we grip on to things from the past, the less likely our future is to happen. So for those of you who are really thinking about your future right now, and I know you are with Venus in Aquarius, with Jupiter in Aries, I know you're thinking about your future. I know you're thinking about where you want to go, what you want your life to look like, with whom you want to spend your life. And if you don't want to put those things on hold any longer, this is a time for you to really grab the bull by the horns and be like, all right, we're freaking doing it this time. And I know that sounds a little cheesy and maybe a little too on the nose with New Year's and New Year's resolutions and whatever, but I actually really like this particular New Year's. I didn't like last year so much. Last year was weird. It felt like the year didn't even really begin until like August, or, like when, oops, sorry, just hit the cord. I need to secure that. Okay. But it almost kind of felt like once Mars finally came into Gemini, then things started to rock and roll. So we still have that energy going on, and we have an opportunity to begin the calendar year really off right, so that when the astrological new year occurs at the spring equinox, Northern Hemisphere spring equinox, the beginning of Aries season, then we can like really reap the rewards of what's being done between now and then over the next 3 months. So I like this full moon a lot. And I'm actually, I've said this multiple times before, I'm not really like a big moon ceremony type of person. There are a few select moons that I will do ceremonies for, or rituals or whatever. Usually they are new moons, but right now, this full moon is screaming like, let's do something, okay? I may want to hop on a live or something. How would you guys feel about that if I did like a live for this full moon? It's happening later in the day, like I think it's like 9 p.m. Hold on. Oh no, sorry, I have it set. Yeah, so it's like 6:30 p.m. So if I hopped on around that time, I know it's like Friday, people are still working and whatever, but maybe I'll hop on a live and we can kind of honor this full moon together, because I think it's worthy of that. I really, really do. I probably should have done it with the new moon in Libra, but we'll do that later this year. Okay. So in addition to that, right, we have, again, mentioned it multiple times before, we have Mars stationing direct. So Mars moving very, very slow. He's also in this really nice aspect with Venus as well, which the fact that he's, kind of slowing down, I feel like he's giving a lot of power to Venus right now, Venus being in Aquarius. Now, she came into Aquarius on the 2nd, so just a few days ago, or a couple days ago rather. And she's kind of offering us this opportunity to really detach from things, to detach so that we can honestly evaluate what is going on in our lives. Now, I don't, whenever I talk about like Aquarius being detached, I don't necessarily mean the people. I'm probably going to have to keep reiterating this over and over again. There's a big difference between Aquarius, the archetype, or, Gemini, the archetype, or whatever, versus a person who is born with a planet in that sign. Okay, the archetypes are large and all-encompassing and perfect. And then we have people who have, like, say, their sun in whatever, Taurus, okay? And that sun in Taurus is going to express merely a fragment of that full archetype, okay? Like not every Taurus is all like money hungry, right? Not every Taurus eats a lot of food or really enjoys food all that much, right? It's just not the reality. So when I'm talking about these archetypes, I'm not referring to people. So Venus in Aquarius offers us that opportunity to take a step back and to kind of elevate our perspective, to go really, really high with what it is that we're seeing so that we can evaluate in a clear and honest and a very almost scientific, logical, rational kind of way. This is not where Venus comes to get her feels all taken care of, all right? Venus is really... she just wants the best of everything, okay? She wants the best bank account. She wants the best physical body. She wants the best relationship. She wants the best career. She wants the best home and the best, friends and everything. This is what she wants, the best of all of it. And when she's in Aquarius, she gets to kind of take a look at her life in a more all-encompassing way, where like if something is going on wrong, let's say with her friendships, there may be a connection with something that's going on like at work. And here she has the ability to really make those connections, because Aquarius and Pisces both are the areas where our lives sort of merge into the greater scheme, and the areas of our lives sort of merge into one, where there's not a lot of separation between like our work life and our life with our children and our, spiritual studies, right? They're not like these separate departments. They're just all our life. Do you see? And so, sorry, just hearing something weird going on outside. So this is like when planets come into Aquarius like this, we kind of view our life as just one big whole thing. And if one area is struggling, like if we're struggling financially, right? How is that impacting our romantic relationship? And we're able to find solutions so that those things aren't really problematic anymore. And I think with Venus, there's always value. So we place a lot of value on the importance of those things and the value of healing and the value of all of those things coming together. But there's also value being placed on your own individual uniqueness and finding your one-of-a-kindness. And if you've been struggling with standing out, or you've been struggling with finding your voice or anything like that, this is a really great time to just kind of experiment with like, who am I? And what kind of message am I really projecting? And am I projecting the message that I want to be projecting, right? That's a big question too. Am I putting out there what I really want to say? This is such a Venusian thing. I can't even believe it. I saw this video, I think it was on TikTok, and it just kind of made me laugh a little bit because she was talking about like men and how rich men want to like date girls who look a certain way, right? Whatever. But she says something at the beginning where this guy commented, was like, "Oh, dang, you look expensive." And how like at first she was so offended by that because like, was she for sale or whatever. But then she thought about it for a minute and she was like, no, I actually realized that was a compliment because someone saying, "Oh, you look really expensive," means like I take care of myself. And she of course was beautiful, right? So she takes care of herself. She does her hair nice. She speaks well. She's really well put together. And she started like telling the story of how she started to live her life according to this motto, like before she leaves the house, do I look expensive? Now, not everyone values that. It's just a nice, easy to understand example of like what it is you want to be projecting and what it is you want to be putting out there. Because you can really hone in on your message, especially if you are someone who is a business owner, or if you are looking to climb within your company, or if you are looking to evolve or change your social circle, right? If you're wanting to level up in some way, this is a time for you to really elevate, take a look, take a scientific analysis, if you will, of where you're really at, and make revisions accordingly. And there's a lot of speed with which this can be done as well, especially when Mars starts moving direct. Okay. So I kind of, I think this transit now, it's not very long, January 2nd through January 27th. So it's not even a full month. She's obviously moving very, very quickly before she hits Pisces. And of course she'll be exalted in Pisces, but it's a totally different feeling up here. Okay, up here in Pisces, it's a completely different thing. There's a lot more dreaminess and fancifulness that happens, but we'll get to that later on. So right now, utilizing your intellectual mind can have very powerful effects for your betterment and finding that unique style. And again, with this full moon, if there is anything that you have been projecting, right? Full moon reflecting or projecting the light of the sun, if you will. If there has been anything that you've been projecting that you don't like, Uranus is offering the freedom from that as well. Okay? I'm very excited about this month. I really am. And I mean, it's not going to go perfectly, but I genuinely feel a lot of people getting their stuff together. I feel people getting fed up with themselves, with their continued patterns and the things that they have allowed themselves to keep alive for far too long. 2023 is definitely the year that we just become that person we've been talking about forever. All right. Now it is a year number 7. On year number 7, the rulership planets of this, we have Neptune from a Western perspective, and then we have the South Node or K2 from a traditional perspective. These are generally seen as the more spiritual, well, Neptune is a planet, South Node is a point. Okay, so the more spiritual aspects. It is a very spiritual year. There are a lot of lessons to learn. There could be a lot of loss, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Usually loss is exactly what creates the space for growth. So we're already beginning with that, like, let it go right out of the gate. January 6th, boom, let it go, release it, free yourself from it, redefine who you want to be, find your voice, find your uniqueness, your one of a kindness, and start projecting that. This is very much not even a fake it till you make it. It's like be it until you make it kind of thing. You have to just be that thing, and you have the time and the energy and the passion to do it right now. Okay? And Jupiter in the first, it's first degree, but in the first house, well, not really for everybody, but in Aries, okay, Jupiter in Aries is all about redefining who we are and finding this identity. Venus is helping, and Jupiter is like really the driver here of saying, look, I want to be someone who does, fill in the blank. I want to be someone who earns a lot of money. I want to be someone who travels the world. I want to be someone who knows a lot about this thing. I want to be someone who lives in this big house or who has all these material things, or I want to be someone who has like a really great set of friends. You get to fill it in. That's the beauty of these things. We all have different values. And Jupiter's not going to quit, because as he makes his way into Taurus later on in May, there is that determination, like that really absolute willingness to work hard for it, right? And to actually actualize it, or to bring it into your reality in a physical way. So a lot of the desire that Jupiter is bringing about with being in Aries is going to start manifesting after May, when Jupiter comes in here. Okay, so don't, and I've been saying it for a really, really, really long time, don't skimp on the dreams. Sometimes big dreams take a while to actualize. It's not always something that happens overnight. Dreams take a while to actualize. Jupiter is like that connection with the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot deck, right? It just kind of breadcrumbs you. And first, you have to expand your mind and your heart and your overall energetic field. You have to expand energetically so that your physical world can then expand. And then when your physical world expands, you elevate even more, you expand even more, and then your physical world will match that. It's this very intricate and beautiful and miraculous dance that happens between our inner world and our outer world, as above, so below. That shouldn't be a shock to anybody, but that's really how Jupiter can work. That's why people who have a very strong Jupiter are not only materialistically successful, but they're also like usually really, really smart, right? They're really smart and really spiritual, and they have an incredible depth to them. I wish I had a strong Jupiter in my chart. I just simply do not. But maybe someday I'll start. I have a Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius in my 5th house. So it's really kind of got some tough things going on. So it doesn't always get like expressed very often, but once in a while I will get a burst of Jupiterian stuff, and like life goes so well. Life goes so well when Jupiter is truly activated. And I think for a lot of people, Jupiter in Aries right now, it's activated. Okay, it's sitting at a +6 right now. It's a pretty good score, and it's a better score than he's been getting. And actually, the fact that on the time of this new moon, now this isn't permanent, like if I go day to day, it'll fluctuate a little bit. Actually, no, like pretty much all week, Jupiter is stronger than Saturn. Even if it's only by a point, it's still stronger than Saturn. This is the first time in a long time where Jupiter has been so strong. Saturn has been really strong for a long time, being in rulership and all, and it's just a time for him to kind of come down a little bit and for Jupiter to take over. And I think a lot of people are beyond ready for that, beyond ready for the Jupiterian good luck, the Jupiterian benevolence, and the opportunities and everything to really start showing up. So it's happening right now. So have a great week, you guys. You guys know how much I love and adore you. I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.